morning and welcome to this week's episode of Masterclass Cook Along. Now, in the UK, we have Wimbledon on at the moment, so I thought we would create some recipes slightly inspired by Wimbledon. There's a few products that I've slotted in here to kind of remind you, but it's going to be amazing. Now, we're actually going to make duck, so we're going to cook fresh duck with a Pims and plum sauce, and we're going to serve it with pickled cucumber. So the Wimbledon bit is the Pims, and you have cucumber in your Pims. So that's kind of how we did, where I've sort of come together with the idea. And then I've got this amazing dessert. It's a cheese dessert. Emily's super excited about it. It's so simple. It's almost a little bit embarrassing, but there's a hint of nostalgia in there. We've got strawberries for Wimbledon. It's going to taste amazing. So first of all, let's get on with the duck. Now, I bought a whole duck because duck is quite expensive. I thought it was really important to show you how to make the most of your investment. So I'm going to show you how to butcher this duck and take the legs off. We'll put those away in the freezer for another recipe, which I'll bring out in a couple of weeks because it is amazing, okay? But first of all, let's get on with this. Now, I'm going to use my edge keeper knife because it keeps it really sharp in this sheath. So first thing you want to do is take the legs off, okay? So can we see this all right, Emily?
We can.
Yeah, we're going to do a little bit of a lesson. Right. So you've got the legs. You've got a little gap either side there. All you need to do is cut very carefully one slice in there and one slice in there. And now it'll allow you just to flip the bird over, put your thumbs on the bone there, and then just dislocate them. It's not nice, but, you know, this is a kitchen skill. So, and then cut round where you've popped the bone out, just cut round. And then just always put pressure on the actual bone, not on the piece of meat that you're cutting away from the bone. That way you get most of the meat onto the cut there. So, same again. Knife, press against the carcass, run it along and carefully lift the legs away. Now, I've got these Masterclass silicone bags. These are brilliant for preserving things in the freezer. So I'm going to pop these into this bag here, and then I'm going to seal it up, and that means it keeps the air away from the food, and it is absolutely perfect for helping you remove single-use plastic in your kitchen. Keeps the air out, and it's perfect for the freezer. So in a couple of weeks, we will see this bag for an amazing recipe. I promise you, I went all the way to Tuscany for that recipe. Okay, now I've got my coffee as well. Keep me going. Now, we're going to take the breasts off this here. So, again, I'm using a knife with a tip. So when you are doing butchery, you always want a knife with a tip. Like this one, for example, not so good for butchery, okay? Because you haven't quite got that same point. And if you want to use a smaller knife, absolutely fine. It's what you're comfortable with is most important. So, run the knife along the top. They've got a breastbone here, okay? Just run the knife along and it will naturally go one side or the other. So it's gone to my left, okay? So all we're going to do now is use the tip of the knife and cut along and then just push the meat away, okay? And all I'm going to do, can you see this all right, Emily?
Yeah.
Yeah? So I'm going to turn the knife the other way now and just cut away from me, and I'm cutting against the rib cage, all right? If you don't want to watch this, it's going to take me about 2 minutes. But what I'm doing is always cutting against the bone. So with butchery, you cut against the bone. And that way you get the maximum amount of meat come off the cut. And then I'm just going to run the knife. So using the tip of the knife for butchery all the time. Okay? And then until you hit the ball and socket joint, which is where the wing comes in, okay? And then just use your knife and just cut through. So that is the first breast off. That's the easiest one. It's a little bit trickier on this one, but it's exactly the same. You just haven't got the weight to counterbalance. So a little cut there, and then run your knife along that breastbone, okay? Cut away from yourself if you're not comfortable. And then using the tip of the knife, cut against the rib cage, lots of little cuts, okay? And just lift the meat away so that you can see what you're doing. So all we're doing is cutting against the rib cage, and then eventually you'll come right the way through, and then we just cut through that ball and socket joint.
Is there anything you can do with what you've got left?
Yeah, totally. So don't throw this away. This is all flavour, okay? What I suggest you do is you roast this off, pour the fat off from the roasting tray, and then put it in a pot, fill it with water and boil it, okay? And boil it for about an hour, and then pass it through a sieve, and then that water is kind of like gravy then. Boil that down by half, and you get a really intense flavour, like a rich sauce. It's called a jus in French cookery. And you could just freeze that, and next time you're doing a dish, you've got this amazing duck gravy. It'd be absolutely beautiful. Or you could make a broth, you could make a soup, or a beautiful risotto. So I'm going to put it to one side for now. Good question though, Emily. Like that one. And then also, we're just going to take the wings off, and we will keep those with the carcass for another day. So take the wing off. Duck breast is quite expensive, so it's quite important, I think, if you can, buy the whole thing and learn to sort of make more meals out of it. So let's just trim these up. Get that out of the way. So if you have any questions as well, please do post them in the comments below and we will answer them. And as always, if I can't answer it, the team at Masterclass will. And all my recipes are on cookserveandenjoy.com. Okay, and that's where you can get your hands on all the same kit that I use. So all I'm doing is I'm just taking any of the sort of excess skin so that it's all sort of one size. I'm just trimming it up and just nick the bottom off there and just making it a nice neat size. So sometimes you get these little bits of extra skin, so we'll just nip them off. Now, if you didn't want to do this yourself, go see your butcher and ask for duck breasts, okay? And they're always available. I think you can get them in the supermarkets now as well. They're really easy to get hold of. And if you didn't want duck breasts, you like duck legs, really well cooked, slow cooked, crispy duck leg, just do it with duck legs. You'll obviously have to cook them for much longer because we're going to serve this duck nice and pink, but nice and beautifully tender. It's going to work really well. So those are our 2 duck breasts ready. I'm just going to get rid of this bit. Right, we've got our duck breasts now. I'm going to show you how to cook these perfectly, okay? So a sharp knife, and what we're going to do is we're just going to crisscross the skin. We're scoring the skin. We're not trying to cut it through, okay? We're opening the skin up to allow the fat out to let it crisp up beautifully. So just a nice gentle crisscross with a good sharp knife. Okay. Do you cook duck at home?
I've cooked it once or twice, but I think it's a confidence thing. It's like you don't want to overcook it. And you don't want to undercook it. And so
well, that's kind of why I chose it, I think, because a lot of people are a little bit scared of it, and I wanted to kind of give people a bit of confidence that actually it's not that difficult to cook.
Because it tastes lovely. It's really, really good.
It's a lovely meat. So we've crisscrossed these. Now, what we're going to do is just make sure that the skin is dry, okay? You don't want it to be wet at all. And now we're going to season it, okay? So plenty of salt, because we want the salt to draw out any excess moisture and allow the fat to render. Now, the one thing, and if you've been watching this program for a while, you will know my pans are always hot when I cook. This is the one product I cook in a cold pan, and it's really, really important. And I'll tell you why. Because if the pan's hot, this skin will crisp too quickly, and it won't render all the way through because it's quite a thick skin. You have to give it time to crisp up. So, into a cold pan, like so, and then we turn it onto a medium heat. And we leave it to really gently cook. I'm going to season it on this side because I only seasoned it on the fat side, okay? And we're just going to let it do its thing. And it goes against all of the things I've always said about hot pan, hear the sizzle, make sure it's smoking. None of that, cold pan. There you go.
Learn something new every day.
Absolutely. So I'm going to turn my board over, okay? And now we're going to make our sauce, and we're also going to pickle some cucumber, okay? So, what should we do first? I think we'll pickle the cucumber.
Yeah.
So, white wine vinegar, cucumber, and a little bit of honey, all right? So, let's get our vinegar on the heat first, okay?
Is there certain types of vinegar you've got to use?
Now, I would always go for a white wine vinegar or a white distilled vinegar or cider vinegar. Don't do balsamic because it will just colour the cucumber. And I wouldn't use a red wine vinegar because you end up with a weird sort of orangey kind of coloured cucumber. It's not good. Okay? So, a little bit of honey, like a teaspoon of, all right? And that just takes the real harsh edge off the pickle. And now we will get a different knife. I'm going to take my cucumber, unpeel it, and we're going to remove the seeds, okay? So the seeds are full of water, okay? And when you're trying to pickle something, you need to get rid of the natural water that's in there, otherwise it dilutes the vinegar and you don't end up with that sort of harsh, sharp, sort of acidic pickle flavour. So cucumber in half. And then take a teaspoon. Can we see this all right, Emily?
We can.
Yeah. Use your teaspoon and just push all the seeds out, okay? Because that is all water and that will dilute all my flavour.
Is there any other like vegetable you could use to put in this pickle?
Oh, Emily, now you're asking a question. I love pickling stuff. I've pickled, one of my favourites is pickled fennel. Beautiful with fish. Really nice with fresh summer tomatoes. Fantastic. I also pickle grapes. Really good with sausages. Definitely a good one. Pickled carrot. I mean, you can pickle lots of things. I've got pickled elderberries in the windowsill there from the autumn. I've got pickled gooseberries. I've got pickled blueberries, pickled grapes. I've got pickled garlic, wild garlic buds. So we've just pickled those really easily. So all sorts, but when it's a high water content product, you need to get rid of the water before you pickle it. Okay? So we're going to slice these up, sort of 1/2 centimetre slices. You don't want them to be too small, because otherwise they'll just sort of break down too quickly.
How long do they last in the pickle?
In the fridge, this is sort of more of a fridge pickle than a shelf pickle. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
You're not going to put it there for a year and come to it at Christmas type thing. This will probably a good 6 weeks.
Oh.
Beautiful with fresh fish. If you just barbecue some fish, serve it up with some pickled fennel and finish it with a touch of olive oil to kind of balance out that acidity, be amazing. And if you've got some dill growing in the garden or fennel tops or anything like that, put that in with it as well and you just get some amazing flavour. In fact, Emily, will you just get me some fennel from the garden? I can see it from my door. In fact, we've got another person here with us today, Carlos. He's now run off to do it as well. He's one of our food photographers. So he's there as well. Brilliant. Thank you, Carlos. Marvellous. So, amazing. So, fennel. Can we see that, Emily?
We can.
So if you grow fennel in the garden, the good thing about fennel is you get the vegetable in the ground and then you get the herb on the top. And it's just lovely, and it's got this kind of nice aniseedy kind of flavour to it, and it works really, really well with cucumber. So I'm going to put that on the top, and then my vinegar has come up to the boil, all right? So all I'm going to do is carefully pour it while it's hot over the cucumber, all right? And then shut the lid, and then leave it there for a good couple of hours before you use it, but the longer you leave it, the more pickly it will become. So there we go. That is our pickled cucumber. Let's have a look at the duck. All right, can you see this, Emily?
I can.
Good. So you can see the duck is now coming up to temperature. We are now cooking. All right? And it's just the fat is naturally seeping through. The salt is drawing out the moisture. Because we scored it, that means we can allow the fat to come out really nice and evenly. Okay, good non-stick pan. And once that skin is golden and crisp and beautiful, then you can flip it over and we'll just finish it for a couple of minutes, and the residual heat will cook that through to about a medium to medium rare. If you prefer it more cooked, give it another 5-10 minutes in the oven, that's absolutely fine. But if you do like well done duck, I wouldn't buy duck breast, I would go for the duck legs and really slow cook them till they're nice and tender. Right, I'm going to move my duck over there, and I'm going to get the pan back on the heat. Now we're going to make our Pims sauce. So, shallot, we're going to cut this nice and fine. We're using a shallot because it's milder. Okay, and we want that sort of nice sweet taste to go with the duck. Duck either works really well with sweetness or acidity. Depends on which way you want it, because you want it to cut through the fat. We really ought to do a bit of a survey online, haven't we, about what recipe we do with the duck legs. So I'm thinking we've got 2 choices, okay? Let's get a little bit of oil in here first. So our duck legs are in the freezer. We can either do an amazing crispy duck and nectarine salad, or we could do a drunken duck, which is a Tuscan dish with potatoes and Chianti and juniper and rosemary and garlic. So let me know in the comments below.
You've mentioned carbs. It's got to be the drunken.
Mentioned what?
You've mentioned carbs and garlic.
Carbs and wine. That's Emily's vote. Put in your comments which one you'd like to see, the duck and nectarine salad, or whether you want to see the drunken duck from Tuscany. And whichever one wins, I'll make that in a couple of weeks. So, I've got some star anise. That's going to go in. Works really well with plum. And then we've got our plums here. So just roll it round, give it a twist.
Sometimes plums can either be like quite really ripe and soft, and sometimes it can be quite crunchy when they're not as ripe. What would you go for this type of dish?
You've got to squeeze your plums, Emily. You've got to squeeze your plums. The riper they are, the sweeter they'll be. Okay? When they're sort of out of season, sometimes they can be a bit rock hard and not full of sweetness and flavour. So give them a squeeze, really. You don't want them too soft and squishy, but you do want them to be sweet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And what I would say was, if you can't get plums this time of year, go for some peaches or some nectarines. That would work quite nicely. So, just cut round the stones, and then just cut them. Some people would want to remove the skins, but I think actually it'll be all right. They're not particularly tough.
Quite nice to use plums in a savoury dish as well, rather than just a dessert.
Plums work, plum and duck, made for each other, aren't they? We're just sort of bringing it together. So, the shallots, we've got our plums, and we've got a little bit of star anise in there. Now, if you can't get star anise, use a tiny little bit of Chinese 5-spice, but don't add too much, otherwise it's going to taste like a Chinese takeaway. You just want that little bit of aniseedy flavour that you get from 5-spice. It just brings this together. Okay? Right. Fresh thyme from the garden. I love thyme because all year long it will grow. It's like rosemary. Rosemary and thyme work really, really well together. So, chop it all up. I want half of it in there with my plums, and the other half I'm just going to put in with the duck. Now you can see the ducks kind of... Can you see that pan, Emily, or not? You can. Marvellous. Okay, so let's crank up the plums in with our Pims, okay? Now, if you can't get Pims, and we had this discussion, didn't we, before we started filming?
We did.
So Emily likes to prime me with a couple of questions. Google had to help us with this one because I wasn't sure what to use, but I would go for port. Okay? If you can't get Pims, use port. In it goes.
Would you add a little bit of sugar possibly to help sweeten it a bit?
Depends on your plums.
Yeah.
If your plums are lovely and ripe, they won't need the sugar.
Yeah.
But if they aren't, a little bit of red wine in there as well. Marvellous.
Like these kinds of sauces.
Yeah, everything in the pan, boil it all up. It's perfect. It's really, really good. And then we've got a little bit of chicken stock. unless you have gone to the trouble of making your duck stock. And if you have, well done, but that would be perfect for it. Now, I just want to have a sneaky little look before you do on the duck, because I like to know it looks good, all right? So, I'm going to really turn up the plums now. Now, can we see the duck, Emily?
We can.
Good. Are we ready to turn it?
I think so.
I feel like we are.
You're ready to turn it.
I'm ready to turn it. Are we ready? Because I think this is going to look good.
Ready?
Partly because I've had a sneaky look.
3.
Right.
Go.
Okay, let's turn her over. Look at that.
Wow.
Look how crispy that skin is. All right? Now, you only saw me touch that duck once, and that was when I put it in the pan. Okay? That's it. You mustn't fiddle and mess around with it. You must give it the time that it needs to crisp up beautifully. All right? Let's reduce our sauce down, and we are almost ready. Okay? So I'm just going to have a quick little wipe down. Make sure I've got some butter here to add into my sauce. Grab a spoon. Any questions from you, Emily, today?
No, I'm just like...
Are you waiting for this one, are you?
Yeah, it smells amazing.
What do you think, Carlos? Fancy this?
Loving it.
Yeah?
Smells amazing.
He hasn't forgiven me for doing paella last week,
Not yet.
because I didn't make it the way he makes it.
Maybe
Give him his due, he's Spanish, so...
Maybe you should have a paella off.
We should maybe have a paella off. I have to say it properly. Right, I'm going to turn the duck off now. It's had like 90 seconds on the other side, and its residual heat will cook it through. However, what we do need to look for is our core temperature. Now, if you like, I've got a thermometer here, and it's got a tapered end on it. It means that I can get the core temperature of that duck without cutting into the middle of it, which is nice to be able to do. So it's a good piece of kit, but let's lift these out and let's have a look at the core temperature, and then I can discuss with you what it should be. So let's just go in there and see where we're at, okay? So I am a Celsius kind of guy. I am at 54.5 degrees, which to me is hovering on medium rare. So out of the pan that one goes, and let it sit. Let's do the same with this one. Slightly bigger, this one. We are on 41, okay? So that one needs to go back in the pan for a little bit longer, okay? So 50 degrees to me is rare, okay? 55 is medium rare. 60 is medium. 65 and above is well done, okay? So those are your temperatures that you're looking for. If you want them in Fahrenheit, you need to find an American chef, because I'm terrible at Fahrenheit. Awful. I'm a Celsius kind of guy, all right? But Google will convert it for you, I'm sure. And to be honest, it'll convert this for you anyway. So, Celsius confuses me, doesn't it? Fahrenheit confuses me. Is it you?
Celsius is, yeah.
You would have done Celsius, wouldn't you, in Spain?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, let's have a little taste of the sauce. Make sure it needs any seasoning at all. I'm not sure you're going to like that, Emily.
So you're teasing us.
Tiny little bit more stock.
Okay. If you didn't want to use chicken, I mean, obviously I know it's not a vegetarian dish, but
No.
if you say to make the sauce
You could use
separately,
beef stock if you wanted to, and you would get a deeper, darker sauce.
could you use veggie stock if you were
Yep,
making it as
you
a
can
sauce
use vegetable
separately?
stock, you can use chicken stock or beef stock. It's up to you. The reason why we're adding stock is to get that depth of flavour, okay, that savouriness, because it is plums in there and there's a sweetness, and it's just trying to get that kind of right and working. So let's get a plate. All right. Where shall I put my plate, Emily? Emily has a remote control on one of her cameras now. So if she's feeling really brave, she should be able to move that camera. What do we think, Emily? About here? See, we get all the toys, you see. I've put her right on the spot now. I'm going to pay for this.
Yeah. Okay.
Are we good? Have we got a nice little shot?
I think so.
You think so? Okay.
I don't like
Right. So, cucumber, pickled beautifully. Oh, smells so good, that. Right.
Oh, you can smell that from over here.
Yeah. Give it a little stir around because obviously we haven't pickled this for long. But I want to get the ones at the bottom because they've got that sense of pickle to them. All right. And let's pop those onto there. So this acidity and crunch will kind of counter perfectly. Pull those fennel tops back in. And then let's have a little look at our duck. So I'm just gonna, can you hear that? Oh,
yeah.
That to me sounds like a nice crispy skin. Now to me, that duck is where I want it to be, cooked wise. It's just pink. It's not like too rare that it's chewy. There's a real fine line for duck. And if you do it too rare, it's kind of chewy and it's not like a steak. But if you get it just right, it is a lovely thing. Now, see, this sauce is beautiful. So all we need to do is just spoon a little bit of that sauce on there. And there we go. That is our Wimbledon duck. So it's pickled cucumber with a Pims sauce, Pims and plum sauce, and a crispy medium rare duck breast. That is really going to be a hit. So if you fancy giving that a go, make sure you get the recipe from Cook, Serve and Enjoy. And now it's time for dessert. Right, so that was how to make an amazing duck dish. A little bit of butchery in there. Now it's time for dessert. And I'm going to show you my cheat secret. All right? Emily's going to burst with this one. It's her favourite.
I'm so excited.
It's nostalgic. I grew up on this stuff. Butterscotch was my favourite, but strawberry is the flavour of choice for today. But first, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about elderflower. Now, it is out there. Elderflower is growing everywhere. It's this beautiful little white flower. It's got an amazing fragrance. And I wanted to show you how to make your own elderflower cordial. So that's how you make your own elderflower cordial. It's out there. If you are out walking, pick some. My top tip would be, if you're going to pick some, make it that day. It doesn't keep. It's one of those things that loses its flavour. You need to make it. But let's be honest, if you haven't got time, you can still buy it from your local supermarket or wherever you might be. But it is a really nice thing to have. So, Cheats dessert. Angel Delight. Oh, who knew? Now, Emily, you're going to ask me, what could you do if you didn't have Angel Delight, aren't you? Because let's be honest, we have viewers all over the world.
Right out of my mouth.
I know. So, sachet of Angel Delight. We need to research whether you can get this on Amazon. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. If you were not able to get Angel Delight, because it is a very English thing. Carlos is looking at us like, what? Strawberry puree into a little bit of whipped up cream to make a like strawberry mousse. This is a Cheats strawberry mousse. Or get like a really nice smooth strawberry yogurt. That might work quite well, and maybe sweeten it up a little bit if you don't like it too tangy. All you do with Angel Delight is whisk it. Bear with me, it's really technical, this bit.
I think this is the most technical part about it.
What possibly could Emily ask me a question on this? Right.
I'm so excited.
My problem as a child was I couldn't wait, so
Yeah.
I used to drink Angel Delight But we'll pop it in the fridge now and it'll set. Let's leave that to set. It only takes a few minutes, okay? Now, I have bought a meringue ready, okay? This is a cheat dessert. This is quick, this is easy, this is taste amazing, all right? So I have bought one. Okay, so we are now gonna flavor up some mascarpone. Really, my job here is just to bring some beautiful flavors together, and that's what I'm gonna show you. You could do all of them, you could do a couple of them, you can do what you like. It's all gonna work together, or it's all gonna work like one or two or three of them. So, mascarpone, because it's just so much nicer than cream in my opinion. And a little bit of honey, because this honey's amazing. It's actually blueberry flower honey. What we got sent, we were doing a project on it, and it's amazing. Okay, so, that's it. That's our mascarpone ready. Now, another cheat, lemon curd, all right? You can make your own lemon curd, but let's be honest, you don't always have the time, so let's cheat. Let's buy an amazing lemon curd. So a couple of tablespoons of this. This is a good cheat, this. Passion fruit is so good, all right? And it works so well in curd. But if you have a look, can you see that, Emily?
Yeah.
Yeah? It looks pretty gross, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's not pretty, but it is so fragrant and beautiful. All you do is cut it in half and just squeeze out every last little morsel of those seeds, all right? And now you've got this amazing passion fruit and lemon curd. So you've just taken lemon curd from there right up to the next level in terms of flavour.
If you didn't like passion fruit, is there anything else you could put in lemon curd?
What's wrong with you if you don't like
Oh,
passion
I
fruit?
love it. I'm asking for the viewers.
I would go a little bit of lime maybe, would be quite nice. Mango, so you need like a concentrate of mango because it's quite dilute mango. So if you had you could kind of take cordials and you could sort of play around a little bit. You can get like a mango puree, maybe fold that in. Lime zest would work really well. You could put some mint in here and have like a lemon and mint curd. But you can get like, I saw in the shop today, blood orange curd. I was tempted by that one. But passion fruit curd for me. Passion fruit and strawberries, amazing combination, okay? That's why I chose that one. So, that's that one done. Right, strawberries, the great British strawberry. You've got to love it in June and July. You really do. They are
nice and sweet and they've got flavour.
super delicious at this time of year. I always get really cross with people who buy strawberries in January because they taste of nothing.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing. And I think strawberries, we've got them growing in the garden at the moment. We cannot wait because they're going to be so delicious. We've got little alpine ones. And then these are Scottish strawberries, but they are really good. Really, really good. At room temperature as well.
Could you add raspberries to this as well?
Totally. Raspberries, blueberries, blackberries, any of those British summer berries that you can get hold of, it would be delicious with. A combination of all of them if you like. I've just gone strawberries because it's like Wimbledon, isn't it? Strawberries. I remember working at Wimbledon once. I spent 8 days preparing strawberries. 8 long days. But it was good. It was a good experience. So, let's get the Angel Delight and see if we're ready. Good news, we are ready. Okay, so, are we all right? Can we see all this, Emily?
Yeah, just push them around in a little bit more.
There, in the middle?
Yeah, and
we
just
happy with
move
that?
the big bowl of strawberries.
All right, no problem. Shall I put them over there? There we go. Right, so we're going to start with mascarpone and honey because it's the densest texture and it's heaviest, all right? And it will sit nicely with our meringue, okay? Now our Angel Delight. Look, it's set. So just sit it. It's like a little fluffy cloud of strawberryness. I think if I was to describe Angel Delight to somebody who's never had it, it's like a set strawberry milkshake, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
There's something incredibly comforting.
There's no nicer flavour than the strawberry one.
It's not butterscotch all the way.
No.
Do you know what I did do? I actually used butterscotch Angel Delight powder in my flour to make cookies, and it was really good. Anyway, I digress. So, we've got a lovely layer of strawberry Angel Delight. On with the real star of the show, our strawberries. Look at that. This is going to be good. This is going to be good. All right.
This looks so pretty.
So that is our beautiful meringue. Passion fruit and lemon curd. Just to give it that real zip. All right. And just kind of go mad. And do as you like, really. All right. Don't do this until the last minute, till you're about to serve it, all right? Because the moisture will start to work through the meringue and you'll lose the crunch, all right? So this is our beautiful meringue. Now, it isn't quite ready yet, all right? So I want to make an Eton mess, all right, Emily? So I've got this nice, lovely big plate. What do you think of that plate there, yeah?
Move it across that way a little.
All right, onto there, about there?
Yeah, perfect.
All right, now I haven't used my elderflower yet. There's a reason for that. So, to make Eton mess, what you have to do is take your meringue, okay, like about there. Can you see that?
Yeah.
And do that. Now, we have Eton mess. I don't think Carlos was expecting that. So, let's just clear up a little bit.
And I thought I made a mess.
I know, but look what we've got now. All right? So, now we've got Eton mess. A little bit of elderflower. Put your thumb over the top. Act like a little dressing. There we go. Now we've got that little bit of fragrance. Okay? We've got our spoons. Let me grab a serving spoon. There we go.
You know you're going to get a bit of everything.
Absolutely. It is all about getting a little bit of everything. So, and if you haven't got a little bit of everything, you have to go back and finish it off. But look, that is how you make Wimbledon Eton mess. We can always add a little touch more of the curd. There we go. Add one of those beautiful strawberries on the top, but there you go. That is my Eton mess from Wimbledon. Thank you very much for joining us. Now, if you want any of the recipes, go to cookserveandenjoy.com. All the recipes that I do every week are there. You can also get links to all the equipment that I use in my kitchen. And thank you very much for joining us. If you have any questions at all, post them in the comments below. Share this video with your friends and get cooking.